Hi, everybody, and welcome. I'm Haley Mitchell-Haugen. I am the editor of Sheila-Na-Gig Online and Sheila-Na-Gig Editions. And tonight we've gathered together to celebrate the publication of Catherine Gonick's debut full collection, Split Daughter of Eve. We're very excited to hear from Catherine from this collection. And then we have a number of invited mic readers from Sheila-Na-Gig Online spring 2025 issue. They'll be sharing some poems as well. So very excited to have you all here. I'd love to introduce Catherine to you. And Catherine was a poet whose work I did not know. I had not published her on Sheila-Na-Gig Online, where I meet most of the writers for Sheila-Na-Gig Editions. But she happened to send work in for our open call for manuscripts, and I'm so happy that she did, because she was the first one that I selected to publish this year. So I'm very excited to have Catherine on board. Catherine Gonick has published poetry in a wide range of journals, including the Notre Dame Review, Beltway Poetry Quarterly, Pedestal, the Orchards Poetry Journal, One Art of the Book, the New Review, and the New Verse News. Her work has appeared in various anthologies, including In Plain Air, Grabbed, Dead of Winter, Support Ukraine, and Rumors are titles of various anthologies she's been in. She's the winner of the Ina Colbreth Prize for Poetry and was a finalist for the Louisville Actors Theater 10-minute play contest. A native of California's Bay Area, she now lives in Hudson Valley with her husband, with whom she works in a company that seeks to slow the rate of global warming. So just lots of wonderful activities going on there, Catherine, and you're welcome to talk about those as you introduce your poems. So let's welcome Catherine Gonick, reading from Split Daughter of Eve from Sheila-Na-Gig Editions. Welcome, Catherine.
Welcome. Thank you. Thank you for selecting me. I think I told you when I saw the name Sheila-Na-Gig, I thought, this might work. So I'm going to read 14 poems, and they all involve a speaker, who happens to be me, dealing with a lot of oppositions in parents, religions, sexual attitudes, and politics. And I'm going to just kind of leave it at there and let it unfold. So the first, I'm going to start with the ending and end with the beginning and have in between. The first one is, I draw myself. The first drawing was a line traced around the shadow of a woman. Old women like me should be represented with swift and furious gestures. A painter with clumsy hands will paint similar hands in her work. I leave handprints on the wall. And then further toward the beginning, Deus absconditus, which means the hidden God. Jesus looks at me from his cross, and I suddenly know he's only human. He says my name. Heaven has changed, but our second grade nun didn't hear. She keeps reading aloud, preparing the class for First Holy Communion. My mother throws a coat over her nightgown to drive me to Mass, then waits in the car with a book. My father's Jewish. They're both atheists. If I could go outside, I might see God as an almost face in a cloud and feel the warm breath of the Holy Ghost. Those two like being invisible. When I asked why, Sister said, it's a mystery. I stare at Jesus. He stays silent. What if he came down? I could wipe the blood from his hands, comb his matted hair. We could go for a walk. I would share my sandwich. Jesus looks like he's thinking it over, but he doesn't move. How am I supposed to live the rest of my life? The priest comes in, points to a water stain under the crucifix, tells us it looks like Golgotha. I see a dingy wall and feel embarrassed by the show. God deserves more, yet I need to be kind. Certainty ends, longing begins. Many years later, I learned that when Pompey conquered Jerusalem, drove his chariot through streets of golden stone, he entered the Holy of Holies, the temple's most sacred space, and was amazed to find it was an empty room. Broken family. When I understood that Jesus was a Jew and Christians said Jews killed him, I wondered how he felt. Up in heaven, he seemed content, but like me, might feel adrift, as if he didn't quite fit in. The shining figures passed down to my parents lay in our attic, useless antiques. But Jesus still belonged to Dad's people as well as Mom's, and like a kid after a divorce, I longed to reunite my family. I wanted to invite them all, holy and human, living and dead, to dinner with me and my folks. But there'd be no sitting down together. There was no longer even a table. I could only chase random angels, left to roam like pets, becoming feral on abandoned property. Indefensible. When our father wore only a white sleeveless undershirt and roamed insouciant through our home, my younger sister used to shout, "Wear pants!" Our mother shrugged, and I, his ally, grinned as he joked, "If you see something God didn't make, throw a stick at it." Always at eye level, my youngest sister later recalled. My outraged sister said, "Come on, you must have felt shame." Not that I knew of. I wanted to be a burlesque dancer, have 10 children by 10 men, travel the globe, join the merchant marines, be the favorite of the Sultan. I wanted to be free and didn't know what God had to do with it, unless the revelations of the flesh. Flash frozen. Alone in bed at night, a girl curled up, tight as a pill bug, I stowed away inside Flash Gordon's rocket, waited to be loved or banished to some desert planet where I'd screech with witches till I slept, near armadillos in a dry defile. Lying with my lawful mate, I am again the child whose vision, like a fly's, is mosaic, sees everything about the parts, but how they fit together. In some seasons, we might as well be crew from Shackleton's ship, stuck in Antarctic ice. Memento mori. The afternoon my grandmother died, my father took me with him to the hospital. He kissed her goodbye on her cheek, and I couldn't, in case it was cold. That night I dreamed of skeletons, lying in graves, losing flesh. But they keep their eyebrows, my father said, as he fried bacon. What's more, they wiggle them when they come out at night to dance. He wiggled his, and I saw my grandmother's, black, bushy, and often raised when something was funny. Later, I saw skulls in the hundreds, skeletons wearing fancy dress. In the Capuchin crypts, on Mexico's Day of the Dead, bones showed how to connect and persist. But that morning, over breakfast, was the first time they made me laugh. Eating figs in a field between ranch houses. My mother and I crunched through thin, gray-green skin to pinkish orange flesh. It's not stealing if we eat where we stand. As usual, we don't talk about anything important or touch. I wish we could be soft and giving as figs in October. Apple and peach trees blossom like brides before bearing fruit. The luscious fig differs. We're feasting on sweet remains of female flowers that grew unseen, trapped inside the fruit they became. Getting wings. A week before she died, my mother-in-law dreamed of her long-gone mother, come back to lead her in the morning prayer. She'd forgotten the Hebrew, but remembered as they recited together. I was moved to hear that the Moda Ani, a prayer of thanks upon waking, begins with, "God, the soul you have given me is pure." For a moment, I felt the spray of its glad fountain. How pure can any soul be? Today I'm on a plane heading west to help my wounded sister, and mine still feels stained by a sin with no seeming link to God, only to me. The Moda Ani goes on to say that God restores my soul to me each morning. A nice idea, but one that implies it's borrowed for the night. When I lay me down to sleep and pray the Lord my soul to keep, how safe am I without it? Right now, I'm in my favorite space, the troposphere, perfectly suspended over time zones. What does God do with my soul all night? There's always been a touch it is feared, and another it is desperately craved. And here's kind of a love poem, falling in love poem. Follower. Call me crazy. I loved a madman who offered me a way to live. I couldn't find another way and jumped into his caravan. He might have been a con man. He parked at the edge of the desert pit I'd crawled out of and didn't want to fall back in. He saw salvation ahead. I feared apocalypse. We circled the pit's rim. I thought I might have invented him. Wasn't sure he knew I was there. Sometimes he sounded like Moses, at other times Don Quixote. His was the pure word upon word, and it didn't matter if I heard it. What mattered was to get a driver, find some way for the Dead Sea not to sink entirely, leaving nothing but a cold light on our planet and only red-hot memories of neon, a noble gas whose name means new. How I became a Zionist without really trying. Born on the wrong side of the Jewish blanket, all I knew of Israel growing up was not the Exodus, but my crush on fellow half-Jew Paul Newman as he played a full one in the movie. My uncles were anti-Zionist communists, my grandparents supporters of Birobidzhan, the Soviet version of a Jewish homeland. My father played violin at their parties. I fell in love with a dual national Jew from Detroit, and then with his 9-year-old Israeli son. Terrorists attacked schools near the kids, and he told me he felt like a target. During the Gulf War, the kid put on a mask, and surprise, my husband was called up, ordered by the IDF to report to Fort Dix with his reserve unit, all old men over 40. Later, the kid learned how to drive a tank, got sent to Lebanon. In the West Bank, he checked IDs, told me how easy it was to slip on a mask of power in that thankless job. My husband and I were on treadmills watching TV when Rabin got shot. My beloved froze, almost fell. Fast forward to October 7th. For failure to denounce Israel's response, I became a Zionist to anti-Zionist pals. Now I felt like a target myself. Short on ideology, I was long on lived experience. Love and history met as I double-checked the box for chance. Wept like a Jew by the rivers of New York. Jesus and I go to the beach. We walk to the Sea of Galilee, sit in low-beached chairs on the shore, cool our bare feet in the water. The day is hot. Climate change is upon us. This Jesus never died and went to heaven, but I can't help thinking of the old story. I have to ask myself, what exactly happened in that tomb? Did the contents of his body melt inside him, as in a chrysalis, to form the tissues of a new body? They say he'd emerged looking just as he had before he was broken. If a change had occurred, it remained hidden. And what of that ascent? Did he rise like an elevator or a rocket? How did it feel watching the earth and familiar faces grow smaller, ever to be seen again? Did he even look? And was he sorry or relieved to enter the cloud that took him the rest of the way? Did he mind losing his body for the second time? Or did he butterfly his way back into heaven? Jesus picks up a pebble, makes it skip on the lake's calm surface, looks at me, and I see he is now much younger. and a girl. You look like your little sister if you had one, I say. Jesus always could read minds. She says, yes, the future is female. So, how about a shawarma and a soak at Herod's baths? We agree. The springs are still scalding after 2,000 years, and there's no time like the present. Jesus and I put our sandals back on. Happily, hers are the right size. In the orchards of Eden, at an outdoor cafe, we sip margaritas, and my oldest friend says she's done with all that is dark. From now on, she wants only light. I know she's weary of my darkness and weird fear that too much radiance could pull me from Earth before I'm ready. Licking lime and salt from her palm, she reassures me it's spiritual, not personal. As girls, we ate too many dark fruits. I hear her abandon me, along with the tree that fed us, and I'm scared to ask if we'll meet again for a long birthday lunch. Across the table, backlit by sun, she's a shadow with a glowing edge. I don't want to lose her. I want her with me in the spoiled garden where light and dark are still a pair. And now, ending with the beginning. Eve's mother. Exiled before time began, the mother can be coaxed back to her creation with prayers and burning candles on the Sabbath. Rabbis have said she likes to appear in empty spaces upon the earth or within our souls to fill them with her presence. That she is attracted to our world by loving kindness, and that bloodshed, incest, and perversions of justice make her depart. Women have reported feeling her presence most often in their kitchens, where, like Julia Child, late in her TV career, she likes to stand beside a younger chef to comment and advise. The Virgin Mary fed her son with her body, but was not known for her cooking. Eve's mother plays with the fruits of the earth, can still make a mean apple pie. Watching a granddaughter cook, she sticks a finger into a bowl for a taste and pronounces it good. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Catherine. We have been in proofing mode for so many weeks with this book. It's wonderful to hear you celebrate it and hear the poems aloud. And very soon the book will be out in the world. So very excited for that. You have been listening to Catherine Gonick read from her debut full-length collection, Split Daughter of Eve, available from Sheila-Na-Gig Editions. So thank you. I wish you could hear everybody clapping. That's one of the downsides of Zoom, but
I can see. Thank you.
There were lots of hands moving. So thank you so much, Catherine. We will segue now into our invited mic portion of the evening. We have a number of readers from Sheila-Na-Gig Online Spring 2025 issue. And we will start off with Winter Yim. Welcome, Winter. Would you take it away for us?
Thanks, Haley. What a wonderful reading, Catherine. Thank you. And thanks for the opportunity to read. So I have two short poems for y'all. As Haley said, my name is Winter Yim. I'm based in Massachusetts, and this first poem is the one that's in the spring issue. Can you all hear me okay? Just give some thumbs up. Okay, cool. So this is called The Day the Gardener Came. Why must you take away the only beauty, wielding a machete for petals so delicate as if they were weeds or pests or dead trees obsolete? Bold blooms disappeared into sour taupe shallow graves. You took from the bees, you look at your mess, you left cradles of mangled stems. Count the deaths on that afternoon in May. What am I to look at now? My lap with fish flopping, the neighbor's unused parking lot. And then the second poem I have is called Why I Cut My Hair. In May 2021, I buzzed off all my hair, and this poem came out of that. So, Why I Cut My Hair. Tendrils sagged with fatigue from years of sucking it in, from keys, menus to unlock glass cases at CVS. Clippers sizes 8:1, guide combs lined the porcelain sink, glistened under electric spotlights. Strands of sentences wrangled into silver shears, positioned to die, guillotined into limp cylinder corpses, the bath mat cushioned eternal. Tresses of shorelines spoken over, spoken at, spoken for. My neck could breathe. Thank you.
Hi, this is Simona. Congratulations, Catherine. I'm going to read actually both poems, both of my poems from the Sheila-Na-Gig current issue, just in the opposite order in which they're on the page. And just a side note, the date on the poem is a famous date for who lived in Milan, because it was the beginning of a big snowstorm. Night shift in the cancer ward, Milan, January 13, 1985. Walking to work, my boots printed on the silver dust of the first snow. A quiet falling, a thin layer on the sidewalk, crisp as finely ground glass. No cars on the boulevard, no trolleys sparking overhead. Through the glass door, the dimly lit hospital hall. Lights off in the ward. A soft lamp guided me to the nurse's station, my post watching over 20 bodies resting. The smell of sleep, of stuffy, heated air, stronger than the chlorine, iodine that sanitized suffering. Midnight found me at the widest window, watching snow cloak the sleeping city, frozen cars under burial mounds. The space behind me swathed in bronze silence, an alarm could have shattered at any moment. Some nights it did, and the world outside the ward would recede farther, pushed by care's pressing needs. Mine the choice of calling, the long hours of solitary shift. 20 lives in my hands, a disease's clutch, unlike flakes falling under street lights' golden cones, in the glow around buildings, glitter from dark clouds. Still falling, when the sky tried for dawn, made it to steel gray. Before our hike, we visit Monte Corona Abbey. The church door creaks open. Our steps resonate in the mid-afternoon silence. White light streams from high windows, expands the raised apse, distances the altar. We descend into the crypt, 5 naves, arches all around, each supporting column unique. We wander the worn flagstones, take refuge under the low ceiling, bricks infused with centuries of incense and prayer. I kneel on a side pew, closer to earth, listen for a heartening breath or beat to blunt the hurt of her daughter's cancer, of my husband's too, unwind the disease that seized our lives, so we wouldn't share the anguish, so I wouldn't know what keeps her awake. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. Thank you, Simona and Winter and Catherine. Beautiful work. I'm happy to be part of it. My name is Laurie, and I'm reading from the dreaded state of Florida, for better or worse. And I'm reading both poems that appeared in Sheila-Na-Gig. And thank you, Haley, for accepting them. I was thrilled. Okay, the first poem is called It Won't Affect Us. When we sold democracy for cheaper Pop-Tarts, many shrugged, saying it won't make a difference. We'll continue as always. Dirty dishes will pile, sills get dusted, lawns mowed and houses painted. The rains will come and go, trees decorated for Christmas, snow shoveled, and come June, a neighbor's rose bush will shock us with bloom. A calico cat will purr its owner awake, to get fed, and life will go on. But somehow, each day coming, we will feel the quotidian shift. A blaring headline will break us and affect our souls. So much so that we hope that rescued calico cat will claw against the screen door until we open it again and stare out at the distance between acceptance and action. And next poem, it's a new poem about a very old memory. It talks about my son being an infant. He's 37 now, so sometimes it's great to get these old memories into new poems. It's called Leaving. We invent our own ways of leaving. It is morning in Manila. We begin to dress, survey our bodies as friends can. Our lives are revealed in scars we have acquired. The accident slashed across the side of your forehead is fading, can be covered by a light foundation. Stretched under the flap of my stomach is a red seam, barely a year old. We confirm what is left of our beauty after the years have marked us with suns and skids down icy roads. A short distance away, my husband reads a child's fable to my son. Across an ocean, there is a man you contemplate a beginning with. We invent our own ways to say goodbye. I lean toward tears. You hold them back with a sturdy voice coming from the other room where you apply something red to your lips. You emerge dressed for LA and tell me life is a constant choice between the wonderful and the wonderful. I force a smile. The kiss you imprint on my cheek is red, a fresh scar. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. I'm so happy to be here. Thank you, Catherine, for your poems, and Haley and Simona for your work on the last edition. I'm going to read both poems that appeared. And the first is about my son and some old memories. Hey, Jude. Hey, Jude is a song, but also what I called out to my son, his name, my call. Hey, I'd yell out to the afternoon backyard. He and his brother doing something with shovels or toy cars, or both up in the tree fort their grandfather built in the box elder maple. Hey, Jude, I'd call across a playground, a parking lot after a middle school dance. Hey, Jude, I'd call out, but not enough when he was in high school, and I decided to change my life and not ask his permission to move out and leave him for 2 nights a week with his grieving father. All that sadness, Jude's, not mine, me the mother, but not. Later, I came back to myself, to him, and I hey Juded him through college and early career choices during the pandemic, supporting when every economy stilled. He and I walked streets and hills and cemeteries, drinking coffee while sitting on rain-slick benches. Hey, Jude, I call now as he moves ahead of me, leaning into his life. Change due to relationships and time. Me, the woman he doesn't really need anymore, but is used to. Hey, I call to him, the little boy out in the backyard. Hey, to the man he is now. Hey, Jude. And the second one is unlocked. Unlocked. I miss the keys I've had, the locks they fit into, the doors they opened, homes I wanted to enter, people sitting and waiting specifically for me. Keys bought with hope, a celebration. Come pick them up, it's yours. My office at work, the small square that looked out at liquid amber trees, one sliding window, sun. I let myself in there for years and years, mine, not mine. The Corolla, the Dodge, the Volvo, keys to drives and adventures, various people in various seats. Now a key, my house, maybe my final house, this place that welcomes me with quiet, with the end. Hear the sound, oh listen, metal into metal, turning, a gyre, a push, finally open, so open still. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Thank you, Haley, especially, and all the readers. I'm loving what I'm hearing and honored to be here and to be part of this issue. My name is Pauletta Hansel, and I will read the poems that are in Sheila-Na-Gig. They're both older poems, and both actually written as in community with my From Draft to Craft class a few years ago. This one was when the first one is poem beginning and ending with lines from Ada Limon when we were using The Hurting Kind as a text to consider. And the lines are from the first line is from Cyrus and the Snakes, and the second line is from The Magnificent Frigate Bird. Poem beginning and ending with lines from Ada Limon. A whole unhatched chick. That's how I think of my poems, the ones I do not write. What is it I am so afraid of that keeps my mind scurrying down one burrow up the next? Already I am mixing my metaphors. It's April, bunnies and eggs, and as always, I envy the pink froth of blossoms on the neighbor's dogwood down the street, while my weeping cherry neglects once again to bloom. Reedy brown branches beginning to green, unfeathered and bone still, the poems I write unquickened in their caves. Is it okay to begin with the obvious? I am full of stones. And then the second poem was written probably about almost 5 years ago, because my mom's been dead now for almost 10 years. It's called To My Mother, 5 Years Gone. Did I tell you I never forgot the story you told about the mule you called Old Sam? How he came back home to die. How he remembered you enough to come to you when love was needed as a home in which to die. I didn't know then how to love you enough, how to brush your hair and feed you from my hands. What journey did that mule make? Broke free the stranger's fence and trudged the winter fields and trails to stand outside your father's barnyard gate and nuzzle your small face. I didn't know then how to sit beside your bed, no words to mark the space between us. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. I am Barbara Sable, and I'm from Akron, Ohio. And I want to thank Haley, of course, and Simona for curating this issue. It's a wonderful issue. And congratulations to Catherine. I love the poems. I'm so happy for you that you have this lovely book that has come out from my favorite press. And I've really enjoyed all the poems I've heard so far from the open of the invited mic folks. So I'm really pleased to be here. I'm going to read the two poems that were in the spring issue from my new book, my new chap, Mapping the Borderlands. As if I have to look at the cover. My gosh, I've been looking at this title for 2 years. Tonka Prose, there it is. I should know that by heart. And I'm really pleased with this little book that just came out. All right. The first poem is Luck is Luck. And if you're not familiar with Haibun, it is a prose poem, and it's paired with a haiku. And the haiku doesn't continue the poem, doesn't continue the prose, but it shifts away imagistically, but it's linked to the prose. Luck is Luck begins with an epigraph by Jane Hirshfield. I turn my blessings like photographs into the light. Over my shoulder, the god of not yet looks on. Hiking a gorge trail, I tripped, tumbled, landed hard. I lay there a long moment, my head spinning. Ankles, knees, elbows sore, but in working order. Looking up through the branches at the cloudless sky, I gave thanks to the God of not yet, who seems to follow me everywhere. Thank God, I whispered to the trees. Thank God. Chance, like a change in the weather, turns so often out of the blue. I think of the stray rescued from a Russian street who spent one joyful day playing with the cosmonauts' children, and the next was blasted into space. They named her Laika, so close to lucky. Shooting star, the impartial archer draws his bow. And the other poem in the spring issue is To the Neighborhood Coyote. And this you'll hear has 3 haiku interspersed with the prose. The neighbors whisper, menace, bandit. Have they held your gaze, glimpsed your rough coat in the brush? I've been warned to avoid that end of the block where brambles and rotting logs reclaim the land. New moon shadow shape shifts. At night, your low slung presence troubles the air. It's then I am drawn to the hemmed in mystery behind the rusted chain links. Imagine a feral breath on my neck. False alarm. The siren fades to a whine. Lately, it's all I can do to keep from peering over the fence, slipping it, risking the briars jutting through. Are you there, crouched among the high weeds? And if I find you, what then? Face to face, the desilvering mirror. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Ed Ruzicka, and I'm the only one it looks like who's going to do a screen share. The poem, which was in the recent issue of this wonderful magazine I'm glad to be a part of, and glad to be a part of this night, was called High Tensile. It's set in, you'll see, Wisconsin. Demco made small engines for hair dryers, blenders, and vacuums. In broad streaks of blue-gray light, machinists stood for 8 hours, 5 days a week. One punched out tin, another wound high tensile copper around and around a base so electrons could build up speed and energy to drive the small motors of small American lives. I took my lunch break alone out the back door at a picnic table beside the mouse gray river that ushered branches and bud cans along toward Lake Michigan, where at sunset in Racine, gulls swirled over heat drafts that rose from fishing boat engines as the boats cut through darkening oil slicks inside the city's jetties. Back then, it was always winter. Back then, it was always winter, and you were just a friend who read books and acted gruff. Now, you are a beloved friend who reads books and acts gruff. Today, thinking of Demco, I suddenly understood what high tensile copper runs inside your chest, where other men have hearts. Every day you walk along Lake Michigan to taste the wind in from Canada, to watch waves that come as restless as your gaze. You are a quiet, tightly wired man whose limbs show that. I do not know what love you give your children or your well-honored wife. I only know the cries of gulls and your profile before the backdrop of the sea. If it's all right, I'd like to read 2 very short poems from my recently released In the Wind, and this is on vacay in Shreveport, Louisiana. We drove out under a biblical deluge that would later make national news. Hundreds of Baton Rouge houses flooded up to their fuse boxes. The visibility was nil. Just shy of I-20, rain finally pulled off, but the Kia's engine started to miss. We pulled in to near Shreveport, an AutoZone clerk, tattooed in scenes from Thermopylae, had a held hand analyzer that plugged in under the dash and told him the what's it was shot. He dialed a mechanic who got there in 20 minutes. An old black man with firm hands and a beat up Chevy truck fixed the Kia on the spot, $150 flat cash. We stood by. It was hot. We saw a girl get cuffed, laying chest down on the strip mall sidewalk. Cops ripped a baggie from her jeans, held it up, nodded, meth, coke, oxy, I couldn't tell. Sometimes you head somewhere, but you get somewhere else. And then very short here, Dominique Crete, An Afternoon Legs On. Want to thank everybody. This has been great. I hope that one more time I can sit with you in the shade of tamarind trees as branches wag and sea wind, as fronds chatter away, that we can grow easy and quiet together again, watch a turquoise sea use sunlight to stitch an afternoon into being in a place too small to even call a village. That one more time we can be together the way that sea waves absorb into sand. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, Ed. Thanks for being here. And thank you to all of our invited mic readers tonight. It's always great to celebrate the issue. We've been listening to readers from Sheila-Na-Gig Online Spring 2025 issue and celebrating Catherine Gonick's book, Split Daughter of Eve. So thank you all for being here. And you can find us at SheilaNagigblog.com. Thank you.